Oh hi. Not John Winder have kidnapped me for some reason that I'm not entirely sure of. However, now I have a bit of time on my hands, so maybe I'll pick up where I left off. Who was I again?
So there's more to Gen 2 than meets the eye.
If there wasn't, do you really think I'd be talking about it again?
There were a couple of spin-off games, but they were nowhere near as many as Gen 1 ended up having. But that's to be expected, really.
But in fact, there was only 2 spin-off games made for Gen 2. So maybe to pad out a bit of time, let's talk about the Space World 1997 demo.
This version of the game is incredibly different to the released version. For a start, the entire game is set in the entirety of Japan instead of just one region of Japan. This does mean we can visit Kanto in this game, but the entire region is shrunk down to just one city in this game due to space limitations on the cartridge. More on that later. This game had almost a completely different Pokédex to the final game. A lot of these Pokemon have remained unused for years, with only a few Pokemon that either stayed in the original release or were possibly used as inspiration for later Pokemon in the series. The starters are actually pretty interesting because Chikorita was practically unchanged in this version, though its evolutions were changed. Looking at the mid-stage, this is completely different to Bayleaf, and the final stage is pretty much just Meganium again. Obviously colour hadn't been added to the sprites properly yet, as the Game Boy Color had yet to even be announced at this point. And then we have the Water Starter. Now, forgive me for mispronouncing this, Cursu and his evolutions, I think, are perfectly cute. They give me like Gen 7's popular vibes to start with, and then like the rest of them are pretty cool too. The Fire Starter, again, forgive me for mispronouncing this, Honguma, he starts off pretty cute, but the final evolution really leaves me not liking it, to be honest. Perhaps that is why he was cut. According to Bulbapedia, the game was about 80% complete. But despite that, the games would be scrapped and remade for a 1999 release, that we have previously discussed, turning the games into what we know today, and to be frank, it was probably for the best. I mean, I would have liked to have seen a finished version of this game, but it just feels inferior to Red and Blue in several ways, mostly in the decks.
Red and Blue had 151 iconic Pokemon. But this version of Gold and Silver doesn't. The majority of these Pokemon aren't good, and that's possibly why they were scrapped. And I am glad they are. But there are some that would have been cool to keep. And overall, this version of Gen 2 really did suck, let's be real. That said, I think it's really cool that I have the ability to actually play this game.
I have longed to own this game for years. I've loved the original Pokemon Stadium since I got it many years ago, and I've always wanted to experience the sequel on official hardware. But sadly, it's like £70, I don't have that type of money. The price of the game is crazy, but the game itself is actually better than the originals. I mean, I would say myself. It's very similar to Gold and Silver in the way that it just improves on what the original one did. And this game isn't easy either. Much like its predecessor, you're going to need a lot of luck to beat this game with rental Pokemon. This game is meant to be played with your own Pokemon from Gold and Silver that you can transfer using the transfer pack. Of course, trying that on Nintendo Switch proves impossible, so really, that version of the game is pretty much pointless. And that's sad, because I'm still glad to have it, even if I don't actually have the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass.
There's no real point in owning this game. Other than like being able to use Gen 2 Pokemon, the game is pretty much just Pokemon Stadium again. But to me, that's a good enough reason. So do you know what? I'm gonna pick up this £70 game on my way home, because I'm adult and I can do whatever I want as soon as I get out of here. Now luckily for me, I've just been trying to solve for time. I know an amazing way to get out of rope. It's called the power of editing. Watch this. Ta-da! I'm free, baby. So, pretty much I've just got to get out of this house. Right, let's go. Oh, they brought me here. That's funny. There's no time to get my house back now, I'm saving that for later. I've got to get back to uni, I've got an assignment due. Oh shit, she's escaped! Get back in your cell! Now hold on, Not Joe. I have a proposition. Oh yeah? Window, if you would be as kind as to go and get my Game Boys from the drawer in my bedroom.
No, you're the prisoner here, you have no authority.
Window, I'm interested. Go and get them.
But I thought we both wanted
You want to kill Joe. I have other plans for her. Go on. Are you two an item? Me and Window? We have a common enemy, I suppose. Who are you? Ah, but that would be telling, wouldn't it? And I'm not ready to tell. But I'm not Joe. So, Not Joe. You like to bet, don't you? Ah, yes, come on down to Not Joe's illegal casino so I can steal your house from you again. I was wondering how you got this place. Anyway, I bet my freedom that I can beat you at a game of Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. What's that? I'm glad you asked.
It's sequel to Pokemon Puzzle League! And I don't like it either. This game is pretty much just Puzzle League on the Game Boy, but, like, worse. What is there to say? I mean, if anything, it is worse because it cuts out the anime parts, which made the original game pretty cool. It's just a puzzle game on the Game Boy, and it's not a very good one at that. But that said, this game apparently ranked as the 10th best Game Boy Color game according to Game Rankings. And I don't know, it just feels like a worse version of the original. And I didn't even like the original. This one just takes the cool bits from that and removes it. I don't know what to think exactly about this game. What do you think?
So why do you want to play it? Because I can win any game with Pikachu's face on it. Well, sure. I do love a bet after all. And if I lose, what do you get? If you lose, I get to win. Your prize? Victory. Okay. Well, shall we start then? Okay. Window, count us down.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, baby! I win! Fuck you! No, not again! I'll kill you for this! Where's my knife? Hey, knobhead. See ya! Don't wanna beat ya!
See, she's getting away. I told you I was right. What's taking you so long to kill her?
Oh, shut up already! Well, it's a long way home, so let me tell you exactly what I think about the second generation in total.
The second generation is literally just the first, but better in many ways and also worse in others. For example, there's only 2 side games this time. Sequels to Gen 1 side games. And do you know what would have been cool? A sequel to Pokemon Snap, or a new trading card game that actually released in the West. Stadium 2 is pretty much just Stadium 1 but better, and I mean, that's all I can say on that. And Pokemon Puzzle Challenge just isn't that good. I have no idea why it's supposedly so good. And of course, the Space World demo, but then that was never actually released as a game properly. And I think if it did release, Pokemon could have died from that alone. I don't think it would have ended well. But overall, this generation is okay. Good even. It's not bad by a long shot. Every single one of those games at least has one thing I could say that is good about them. But I think one thing is missing. Actual side games that are brand new. Because in a generation that prides itself on being new, both of those games can be summed up as the original games, but again! And that's not always particularly the best at the end of the day. Overall, I give the second generation of Pokemon a solid 7 out of 10.
Ugh. What a crazy day. I don't even know what Not Joe wanted from me in the end. To play a game with me? I don't know. Ugh. But overall, that's what I think about Generation 2. It's okay. And before you ask, I did go and get Pokemon Stadium 2, but I don't have a Nintendo 64. This is the worst thing that's happened to me today.